guys, and welcome back to Skins in the Game. I believe it's episode 56. That's what I wrote. It might be 57, to be honest. Did not look into that one beforehand, but we're here.
It's 50-something.
Yep, 50-something. But anyway, how you doing today, J-Dubs?
I'm doing good. Living large. How you doing?
Not too shabby. We have a draft to talk about. Your favorite? You're very into this kind of stuff, and it's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Dave Robb is in the house. What's up, Dave? How's it going, everybody in the chat? Well, sure, people will hop in here eventually, but we're just going to go ahead and get this thing started with the dad joke of the week before people have to hear it.
Yeah, let's get it out of the way soon. All right, the Grim Reaper just got fired in the shoe factory, or at the shoe factory. He was stealing everybody's souls.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. There's
Their
that
dad
one.
jokes are supposed to suck.
No qualifying. It's good. No qualifying. No. All right. What do you got?
Well, I chose to go down the NHL path.
Oh, there you go.
The Caps won last night. I think they've turned the tide of being the number one seed and getting their butts kicked because they've made the playoffs for the last 8 years, and now they are the number 8 seed because Ovi got hurt, and they won last night. But the one stat that I think is interesting as far as they're concerned is that Alex Ovechkin this year tied Mike Bossy and Wayne Gretzky for the most 50-goal seasons in NHL history with 9. And the only other thing I wanted to add is that I thought Wayne Gretzky's goal total was untouchable.
Yeah.
But Alex Ovechkin is up to 780. And Wayne's is 894. So he's 114 goals behind Wayne Gretzky. And if he plays like 3 or 4 more years, I know he's getting up there. Maybe he doesn't play that long, but he's actually got a shot at this.
Yeah, he just signed a huge contract too for like 5 years, a year or two ago, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's done. And last night, the Capitals lost the last 4 games of the regular season but they lost them, and Alex Ovechkin was out and hurt. Now he's back. His shoulder is apparently good. And last night he was, although I don't think he scored a goal, he was playing great defense. The whole Caps team was playing great defense, and they were down 2-1 going into the third and ended up winning 4-2 with an empty netter. But they got 12 guys that have made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. And I think Florida Panthers might be thinking, damn, I had to get them in the first round.
Yeah, Caps are not an easy out for sure.
No.
But as you said before the show, yeah, we have no pressure on us. We're used to being the 1, 2, 3 seed, like the tops, the better seed going into the first round. And so many times we've been knocked out either then or the following round. And this time they just have to be going into it with who cares at this point? Let's just go get it.
Yep.
But I'm also.
By the way, Dave, Dave, I don't think Wayne Gretzky played that long ago that there were that many less teams.
How many more teams are there now compared to Wayne Gretzky? I couldn't even begin to tell you. But yeah, at how old is he? 36 years old. Alex is. He had 50 goals this season.
Yep.
That's really impressive. Like, that's a lot of goals. So yeah, all he needs is 3 more years of 40 and he beats it.
Yep.
And if he gets 50 at 36, and he could keep going, I'm pretty sure they just signed him to a really long deal, like 5 years, like an absurd amount of money for a hockey player. But he's clearly earning his paycheck
Yep.
which
By the way, Jairus, I appreciate the vote of confidence. And what's up with you?
Ovi got an assist, so that was good. There you go. Yeah, he also had, I think I
Yeah.
just saw 70. No, he had 40 assists on the season. He played
Oh, I'm going to
77
tell you
games.
right now that the play last night was amazing. Ovi stole the puck
Yeah.
and pushed it forward and actually got thrown off balance by the guy he stole it from. And Kuznetsov came through and took the puck and went in and just, yep, it was beautiful.
There you go. I remember when the playoff run where we ended up going all the way, we had grandma doing that in her condo. My 88 years old at the time, probably something like that. 88-year-old grandmother who's had 10 kids, and she's like, go!
Yes.
The coos, the
Hey,
coos.
he made the goal that finally beat Pittsburgh. How many times did we lose from them? And came in and actually won in overtime. It was beautiful. But hey,
Here's what I got.
Okay.
All right. My fantasy baseball team has the third most points in the league. The first 2 weeks, I scored the second most points each week. Guess what my record is?
Oh, and what?
0-3. I've
How did I know that?
literally, I've scored so many points. It's absurd. And I am 0-3 right now. Last week, I didn't actually do that great, and I only lost by 4. The guy had a player that ended up at negative 11 points on the week, and I still lost. Negative 11 points. Like, what is that? So that's what I'm dealing with over in fantasy baseball land. My team's actually pretty darn good. It's just, and how the cookie crumbles sometimes. I should win this week, theoretically. He has more pitchers played than I do, and I'm already beating him by a lot. So, and pitchers played is important in fantasy baseball because you only are allowed 12 pitching starts. So sometimes you can get a big lead, but if you've had 6 pitchers play and they've only had 2, then that lead only means so much. Like a pitcher can get on average like 15 to 20 points just by themselves. So, and then it
So
could
wait.
get really high after that. Go ahead.
So wait, let me get this straight. You are in a fantasy league, a sport that you cannot stand.
It's definitely drawn a little bit more interest in the baseball scene, if I must say. It is still a terrible sport to watch. It's so slow. And then you watch it and it's just like the little things there, and it's obviously a strike and they call it a ball, or it's obviously a ball and they call it a strike, and it's frustrating. And then like a good game is just like a guy throwing it at a pitch or a catcher's mitt and gets a strikeout, and then you're like, oh, okay, game over. It's
Well,
okay.
let me just say, as far as the box they put up,
Yeah,
and I agree with you. Sometimes it looks really sketchy,
right.
but that's a virtual thing where at an angle, it's not like 100% accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. There's sometimes where it's like, even without the box, it's like, okay, that caught the plate, and
Yeah,
the umpire's back there going like, I didn't see that.
it's a very slow sport, but I do enjoy fantasy baseball because there's a lot going on. The sport that you watching might be slow. This is not. I mean, people are playing every day. You constantly have to change your lineup, constantly changing your pitchers in and out, picking up free agents because, oh crap, I don't have enough pitching starts, so I have to see who's a starting pitcher, and they may not be very good, and I have to pick up matchups. There's a lot of thought that I put into this fantasy. I ended up winning it last year, and then this year I'm doing well, but it's not going so well. Right now I'm doubling up my opponent with the same amount of pitchers, though. So
well, in June, July, and August, I think that the average Major League Baseball team plays 28 days out of the month.
yeah,
Maybe 27, but it's
that
like
sounds about
they
right.
play. Yeah, they play a lot. I mean,
5 or 6 times a
162
week.
games. Yeah.
5 or 6 times a week. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But all right, enough about baseball. Enough about hockey. We had a draft, and
Tim was not happy with it.
No, I don't know if you saw my reaction. Did you see my reaction?
No, I heard it because you talked to me on the phone.
Well, I'm talking about like the moment that we drafted him. I was very hot. Like
Yes.
somebody posted on there the timestamp. So if you want to, you can go under the day one thing and you hit the timestamp and see my reaction. It was not pretty, and I still don't feel great about it. But we're gonna see how you feel about it today. But before we get into the actual picks, there's a couple of interesting things. And first off, Martin Mayhew in the press conference before the draft, like the day before the last press conference leading up to the draft, he was basically honest, saying that we're not going to end up with the same picks that we have right now. And he all but said we're trading back in the first round. Sure enough, the moniker comes along, trade happens. Saints now have the pick. We move back down to 16. How did you feel of the trade back in the moment when two of your guys that you wanted, your Jameson Williams pick, your prediction was right there. Kyle Hamilton was a guy that you had on your list as well. How did you feel about that trade back with those two guys sitting there?
Well, apparently the guys I picked weren't character guys, so they had no shot. But no, I thought, hey, I'm hoping these guys are experts. They know something I can't see. So I was not like, oh my God, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Hopefully, in the words of Vinny Serrato, don't worry. We know what we're doing. We have a plan. I hope they have a plan, and we'll see.
Well, they certainly think they have a plan. But a part of the plan was we talked about the top 30 visits going into the draft of, and what would your strategy be? Would you try to throw people off with certain things? And they answered that strategy of basically, if we didn't have questions about you, we didn't bring you in. And their first two picks were guys they did not bring in for their top 30 visits and weren't even listed. Like Walter Football had many different things, like a private meeting at the combine, or they went to the pro day. Like there was like things that he had, not only the top 30 visits, they weren't even on that list. Were you surprised that they basically did very little, quote unquote, investigating as far as talking to the player?
Well, and my question though is the fact they didn't bring them in, does that mean they didn't even have a phone call or they didn't have a conversation that where they didn't bring the player in to question them?
No, Jahan never talked to Rivera, never talked to Mayhew. He had one conversation with the position coach, I believe, that was at the combine, but he said it was very brief, but there was not a lot of communication. So he was very surprised that he went that high. He thought he was going to be a late first rounder, early second rounder at best, maybe even late second. And then he did not expect Washington to be the one to pull the trigger. And he probably has, of course, he's happy. I mean, his life just got made. He's going to make millions of dollars. He's going to get to play football professionally, all that good stuff. But he's also a Cowboy fan by nature. So, or nurture, one of the two. So, but yeah, they didn't talk to him. Isn't that? I feel like I would have done it differently. Do you like the fact that they hid their cards? They didn't let anybody know, and nobody knew that these guys were even really on our radar. Do you like that fact?
I'll reserve judgment. I want to see what happens. Again, what happens on the field?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if this guy ends up blowing stuff up, and I think he might be insurance. This is my opinion. Is I think he's insurance to McLaurin maybe not staying because he's very McLaurin-like.
Mm-hmm.
I think he might be a little faster. He's got good hands from what I've watched, but maybe this is their insurance policy because they're not sure about McLaurin. But you can't. I mean, I can say I like it, I don't like it, but I want to see what are the results on the field over the next year or two, and then I can say, all right, definitively, all right, well, that was a stupid pick, or man, that was a really good pick because the guy's really good.
Yeah.
But until he does it on the field, it doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I like to right now. Obviously, we don't have the information of what they are going to do. So right now, I want to judge it off of what I would do, what I think of the players, what I've looked into, and what I think is going on. And then that way, I can't be accused of hindsight 2020. Like, oh, now you say you didn't want Jahan Dotson and you wanted Kyle Hamilton instead, but at the time you were like happy with it. Like, no, at the time I was not happy with it. At the time I would have done this, and then we could go from there. And then also I can be judged accordingly as well. Like, I would love nothing more than people to come back to me and laugh at me of how wrong I was and how garbage George Pickens is and Trevor Penning, and then how great Jahan Dotson and Fedarian Mathis are. That would be a good thing, I think. But all right, on to these picks. We touched on it a little bit. He was shocked, Jahan Dotson was at pick 16 that he went, but Chris Olave, Jameson Williams, people like this that were on the board at the time were obviously being talked up as the better of the receivers. Do you believe, and this is obviously just projection and feeling, that Ron Rivera and company may even think they got the better player over Olave and Williams and are happy to trade back, add capital, and still in their mind get the better player? Or do you think that they know they passed on the better player, but they were fine to settle in with Jahan?
That's a really good question. Again, I'd like to think that they know what they're doing and they played it it fell exactly the way they wanted, but I don't know. Again, what does Olave do when he gets in there? Is we're gonna after each draft you need 2, 3, 4 years to determine whether or not, you know, picking Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, a lot of people are going, yeah, it's good. No, it's not good. And years go by and it was like, okay, you guys blew it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they
but
actually did not take Ryan Leaf over Peyton Manning. That's what they were talking about. But Peyton Manning did go number one. But you get, I understand your point.
no, there was, and you're right, it
Yeah.
wasn't Peyton Manning, but there was a couple of players behind Ryan Leaf. It was like, oh, you could have had this guy and you picked Ryan Leaf. So,
or
for
how
every,
about you could have had Tom Brady and then you took this guy that San Francisco took. I can't remember his name, but he's now a what do you call a hermit in California in the mountains where he sucked at football. Now he has no communication with people. He doesn't even have a TV. The last time I heard, he's just a hermit in his own world on a farm tending to his animals. Yeah, that's what you could have selected him over Tom Brady. That's what you could have done.
and I say, for every Peyton Manning, there's a Ryan Leaf.
Yep.
So,
In pieces, I can't believe they passed on Kyle Hamilton twice. Just to correct the record on that one, they only passed on him once. After they trade back to 16, the Ravens took Hamilton at 14. So we did not pass on him twice, but we did pass on him once for sure. Mike Shanahan did that when he drafted Jay Cutler. Oof. Not talking to anybody. He just drafted him, even though he did have a pretty good career. So I can't hate on it too much. Let's not forget Peyton sucked at first. Yeah, he struggled his rookie year, and he threw the most interceptions in NFL history as a rookie. But it was his second year. And also he showed so much, even his rookie season, that he needed to just learn a little bit. But he showed why they drafted him number one. But yes, he did start out slow. Technically, Tim Couch, another great.
and
One. But go ahead.
I know we've gone back and forth about Andrew Luck. You think that was a good pick? I think it was a terrible pick because it didn't win. I'm not saying he wasn't good, but he didn't win him anything. He didn't get him a Super Bowl, and he retired. So, how is that a good pick? Remember,
he retired early. Yeah,
we've had this discussion. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was that a good pick? I know you were like, Andrew Luck was good, and I'm not arguing. He was good. Well, he didn't win him the Super Bowl, and he retired before, and he lasted
30 years old.
3 years?
No, it was a little bit longer than that, maybe 7.
Oh, I didn't think he lasted that long.
No, he lasted it at least 7. I want to say at least, but Still, it was a shock. That was one of those, like, you remember where you were when he retired. But it's an interesting because yeah, when you draft a quarterback number one, you expect a quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years. He didn't make it to the 10th year, even though he gave you a super high as far as the talent at quarterback, and he had a ton of great statistics around him. They did win a couple of playoff games, but to your point, they never won the Super Bowl, and he retired before he even played 10 years with him. So as a number one pick overall, you got to say that's a little bit of a bust, which is odd,
Yep.
which is crazy to say. I still, if I knew he was only going to play 7 years and give me great stuff, I would still take him. Then I would make sure that I build around him because they didn't give him an offensive line. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion.
By the way,
But
Jairus wants you to put your hat back on.
Tim, no one had told you to take the hat off, put it back on. Is my hair that bad? Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, it's
You don't like
way
my you don't
it's
like my
way off.
blowing in the wind on my hair.
Yeah, pull the bangs out of your eyes.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, on to round two. We got another one. We got another Alabama defensive tackle right there in the middle of that defensive line. Duron Payne. It was announced before the draft. He's probably not going to be here next year. Do you think he's gone before even this season? Or like how did you feel about this kind of a pick when linebacker, safety, maybe tight end, offensive line were maybe a bit more pressing needs, but they decided to go this direction?
I think you nailed it. That they think Duron Payne's not going to be around, and they had to pull somebody in. So you have to go need. I mean, need and talent. They always say pick the most talented guy on the
On the board,
draft
best player
board.
available. Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to say, hey, if this guy's going to be gone, we need somebody in there. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, good, bad. And I know I sound like a broken record, but
Yeah, no more qualifying. We get it. We get it. We understand that we need time to understand this, or before we can
but no,
truly judge it. But I'm
it makes
just,
sense.
how do
They
you
think
feel about the pick as it's today? It makes sense. You said.
Again, I think they think Duron Payne's going to be gone, so
Mm-hmm.
making this pick makes sense to me.
Fair enough. You know how I felt about it. It was not my favorite, but to talk positive about the player, he does bring some good things to the table. He is a guy that does not give up ground in the run game, and he will eat up a double team. It's funny. He runs like this. Like he has super long arms, like 34.5-inch arms and big hands. And it looks ridiculous. Not that it matters. He's a defensive tackle, but I just always like to mention it because I think it's hilarious. But he's not the fastest guy.
He's big at making a bigger target, confusing the quarterback and the players. It's like, I'm covering this much ground.
I just think he has no running for him, but that's just me. But anyway, he's a hustle player, though, also. Like, he has 9 sacks last year, and basically none of them were just beating a guy off the line. It was, I'm just going to continue to use that motor, and a quarterback holds it a little bit too long, tries to buy time, and then he eats them like a sandwich. So he's not a bad player by any means. I just didn't like drafting a rotational defensive tackle in the second round when you had other glaring needs and there were good players there to draft. That's the big problem with me. All right. Brian Robinson Jr. We went on day 2, we went all Alabama. Running back here out of Alabama, a 6'1", 225-pound running back, known for breaking tackles. He had 79 broken tackles last year. Killed it. He had 14 touchdowns, 4.8 yards a carry over there in Bama land. He was a 5-year player there, but he only started 1 year because they've had really good running backs over the past few. Najee Harris being the first one off the board last year. So this 1-year starter. Do you think that Gibby or Antonio Gibson will maintain his starting role throughout this season? Or do you think Brian Robinson, both of them being a 3rd-round pick, may be able to take this spot?
My God, it's always possible, but I think they're bringing this guy in to be able to spell Gibson more often, that maybe have a more consistent weapon than what they had. McKissick, What's the other guy's?
Jarrett Patterson.
Patterson.
Yep.
That maybe they think that they put too much weight on Gibson's shoulders and they needed to have somebody in there that they can let him rest and this guy's going to come in. I don't believe they're bringing him in. And again, who knows? Maybe he blows it up and they're like, hey, Antonio, sit down. But I think they brought this guy in to be able to be a good, solid backup for Gibson and keep Gibson fresher.
So the chances for you are low that Brian actually takes the job, as you think. You think Gibby does have a hold on it, but Brian Robinson, he'll be a nice spell back. And I did like what Ron Rivera talked about, because it did hurt the offense once J.D. McKissic went down last year. And now, if basically this is what I think you have here with Brian Robinson, you have Gibby, who could do it all basically, because he's also a 6'2", 220-pound running back who can go between the tackles, but he also has a 4.39 speed that he could break away and give you big time production there. And then also he was an ex receiver in college, so now he gives you all three elements in one player. Then you had J.D. McKissic, who's basically exclusively a third down back, who also gives you great pass protection on third down. If he does stay in the block, you could spread him out wide into the slot if you go 5 wide receiver sets, if you go into there. So you kind of have the receiving third down back. And now Brian Robinson is that power back, the goal line carry dude that is going to pound it up the middle, wear the defense down. And now if anything happens to Brian, Gibby can continue to fill that first and second down, JD on third down. But if anything happens to JD again, now Gibby can kind of become your third down back, and Brian Robinson can give you first and second down carries. So I do like that dynamic that they brought in for these three guys.
And MP makes a good point.
Yeah. Another fumble. Yeah, Brian Robinson only had one fumble all last year.
No, that's a valid point that Gibson is, I won't call him a fumble machine, but he fumbles more than I like.
Yeah, there were some killer fumbles. And it's interesting, right? Because I think Gibby has shown a lot of talent, and there's a lot of great plays to like about Gibby. I mean, think about his rookie season. He had 11 touchdowns in 11 games at one point. Or the Buffalo game, he had that 70-yard screen pass that he took to the house weaving through defenders. So he's got some great plays, but those come on losses, right? Or losing seasons. And right, so they don't feel as important as when you're in a Chargers game, in a heated game, and then you fumble on your own 5. And everybody's going to remember that, right? Even if you only fumbled one time all season, even though he did fumble more. But I'm just saying, even if that's through one fumble, that's the one that everybody's going to remember. In a close game, you fumbled on your own 5 and cost us, right?
Well, and I think too, and correct me if I'm wrong, a number of his fumbles were in trying to get an extra 2 yards, where he was like almost down, like he made a good gain, and instead of just going down and saying, okay, I made 10 yards or whatever it was, he tries to get that extra 2 yards, and then somebody strips the ball, and it was like, just, you got the first down, just go to the ground.
True. We switched to Wednesday a little bit ago, maybe a couple of months ago.
We haven't been on Thursday. We were on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. We were on Tuesday. You're right. Thursday is not even what we were on. You're absolutely right. We were on Tuesday and we moved it back to Wednesday. True. Because I usually do the play-by-play on Thursday night. So we don't do it on Thursday. But anyway.
So maybe skin them alive on daylight savings time.
Yep. Percy Butler, our 4th round pick, is a very intriguing dude. He ran a 4.36 40-yard dash. He's 6 foot, 194 pounds, free safety. To me, this is the first time in the entire draft that we actually drafted a need, and that's a free safety spot. That's what we need. A couple of things I don't like about him is that when I watched him in the Shrine Bowl against other opponents, against other players that are really talented, because the Shrine Bowl is basically like another Senior Bowl that they invite players in from around the country. He played a little bit tentatively for me, a little too tentatively at the deep safety, where he wasn't afraid to, or he was kind of afraid to come up and make a big hit on a receiver that's about to catch. But sorry, I just read chat and I lost my train of thought. But no, but as a special teamer, he's not afraid to hit at all. So it's kind of a weird thing. Like he's known for making these big hits on special teams as a gunner. So we basically drafted Troy Apke 2.0 because Apke ran a 4.35. This guy ran a 4.36. They're a similar size. They don't play with great intensity, at least not on defense, but they're better special teamers. So I'm kind of confused in that sense of why we drafted this dude there, even though we re-signed Troy Apke. Doesn't that seem odd?
That makes no. I have no. I mean, I have no answer to that. That is a valid question. And mine is, I have no idea.
Yeah, fair enough. He also played the Buffalo nickel. So, do you have any thoughts on the Percy Butler pick? Did you like this one at all? From Louisiana,
he's a safety. So I think we need help there, and I hope he's the guy. So I'm happy to that extent.
Fair enough. Now the pick that everybody loved to the max, and it's Sam Howell, quarterback from UNC. This guy was projected a second-round pick, third-round pick at worst, and this is the first time that we really drafted value. Sam Howell, he had the second highest Wonderlic score. You know what that is, the Wonderlic score?
Oh, the intelligence test.
Exactly. Basically the IQ test of the NFL. So he had the second highest Wonderlic score of this draft class at 34, which is pretty solid, actually. He says he wanted to be in Washington the entire time. And Josh Taylor, another YouTuber, went on another YouTuber's channel, Rio, and they were talking about it. And he met Sam Howell at the Senior Bowl, and he corroborates this. He said yes. He was even talking about back then he wanted to play in Washington. Is that surprising that a player actually thinks they want to play in Washington that's not a local dude?
I was going to say, is he from Washington? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Hey, what do you think about quarterback here in the fifth?
No, I'm intrigued by this guy. I don't know what to think. I did watch some highlights. He's got an arm, and college is hard to judge, and he's mobile. He had to actually adjust his game when his offensive line went downhill, but he changed from a pocket passer to a mobile quarterback and seemed to adjust to that pretty well. So I'm intrigued by it.
I am too. And here's another prediction I'm going to ask you. If Carson fails this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Carson fails this season and Washington ends up with a high pick, with the draft pick of Sam Howell, do you predict that Washington will just stick with Sam Howell and not take a quarterback top 10 or top 5, wherever we end up? Or do you think they think that they got their steal and future here and they can feel free to draft other positions?
No, I think that, and my understanding is next year's quarterback
class,
pool or class or whatever is pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised at all if everything blows up and they go back and pick somebody. Not saying it's a great move. I would not be surprised if they pick some up and coming. By the way, 50-50 at best, but I would not be surprised if they would do it. Would I recommend it? No, but who knows?
You would not recommend drafting a quarterback next year, or you would rather sticking with Sam, or you're saying you would rather not stick with Sam Howell? Sorry, I missed that part of it.
No. I was saying that I believe next year, if they lose and get a high draft pick and have a potential great quarterback, they're going to draft him. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that I don't necessarily agree with that. And
Mhm.
that would be the time to trade back to somebody
Mhm.
else that wants a quarterback and
And get
pick
on the
up all the
haul.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's my opinion. What I
Yeah.
think they'll do is if they're in that position, they're going to grab one of these quarterbacks.
I got you.
That's
I got you. All right. On to the other fifth round pick. Because we both agree on the Sam Howell pick. Cole Turner, tight end out of Nevada. There was a quarterback, Carson Strong, in this draft that we worked out, but we also worked out Cole Turner, the tight end, at the same time. So maybe a little bit of chess here from Ron Rivera and company. They brought both together. Everybody was looking at, oh, they like Carson Strong. Oh, they like Carson Strong. And instead, they took his tight end, Cole Turner, in this fifth round. He's a huge body dude, 6'6", 6'7", 250 something pounds. Great in the red zone. He had 10 touchdowns last year. We kind of needed a tight end. What do you think about this pick here in the fifth?
hey, he's a potential. Oh my God, it just drew a blank. Tom Brady's tight end, Gronkowski.
Gronkowski, yeah. Oh, big boy, huh?
I think big boy potential. I mean, that's what's Gronkowski. He's 6'6", right?
Yeah, right in that range. Yep.
Big boy, hard to bring down, good route runner. So I say he's got the potential to be somebody like that, where it's like, okay, they got it. Teams got a game plan for this guy, and it's going to open up other stuff. That's just
Yeah, and that's what they think they're getting out of him. The one thing that he's not Gronk in is he's not an all-around tight end. He does not block. He's basically a big receiver is what he is. So he's got to learn to block before he can become somebody of that caliber, but he does have big boy size, and it'd be interesting to watch, especially in the red zone.
yeah. Oh, I think you can teach somebody how to block.
Yeah.
You can't teach somebody how to be 6'6".
That's true. That's true. Kind of like what Jahan Doxson is, right? He's a great route runner and great all this kind of stuff, but you can't teach 5'11", 5'10" and a half, 180 pounds. Like, you are that. It is what it is, and that's part of the reason why I didn't like it.
Hey, they can get him elevator cleats.
Yeah. On to the last two picks, the seventh rounders here. And they've talked about this being an extremely deep class with the COVID year, pushing people's timelines back of when they're going to come out. And now then the standard people coming out. This is the most players ever to go into the draft. So there's potential real gems here in the seventh round. And a lot of people are praising this pick around the league. And when I looked into it, I liked it as well. He plays guard and tackle. Chris Paul, not 3, so not CP3, but instead CP the 7th. Did you know that Chris Paul is an R&B singer? Sorry.
Oh, that should help us win the Super Bowl.
Well, I like to say we finally it took us to the 7th round to finally draft somebody that's the best at something. Singing. That's what we prioritized.
All right.
But here you go. You ready? Here's singing, and then I'm going to ask you about it.
Okay. Oh.
This is Chris Paul. This is a 6'4", 300-pound.
I was just going to say that does not sound like a lineman to me. I'm waiting for the rookie. I'm waiting for the first rookie breakfast where they're going to make him stand up and sing for him.
Yeah, the showcase, the rookie showcase. Yeah. Here's the chorus. Oh, never. Tell me that you love it with the wind blows. But yeah, that's our rookie.
So wait, is this the guy? And I'm sorry, bear with me, but there was a guy the Redskins drafted where he had a hat for every team in the league but Washington.
But Washington?
But Washington. And when they picked his name, he had to go. He found some W hat or something and was not wearing. I don't know if it's this guy. I know it was a big guy. But yeah, he had every hat in the league and except Washington. And he said he was laughing, going, well, I think Washington is going to pick me because it's the only hat I don't have. And sure
I didn't
enough,
hear
they
about
picked
that.
him.
No, I don't know. I don't think this was the guy, but maybe you're right. I don't know. That's funny. Interesting. But anyway, what do you think about this pick? The singer.
Well, I don't care about his singing, but no, I think
You're
I
not
like it.
buying that album?
Well, I haven't bought an album in a long time, but no, I have no problem with this one.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of upside, so I'm good with it.
Yeah, he actually does. He played pretty darn well against Ohio State, an obviously big name school there. And he arguably played better in that game than Dallas's first round pick, who was his teammate, the left tackle of that team. Chris Paul arguably played better. So big potential here out of the third round. I don't know about his musical artist career, but as a lineman, maybe he can be something. And then Christian Holmes was the final one. He was a Big 12 corner, so a Power 5 conference corner in this draft, and PFF did not grade him. There's no grade on PFF for Christian Holmes. How in the world does that happen as a Big 12, as a Power 5 conference? This isn't some no-name school. This is Oklahoma State. How in the world is that
Wasn't on my list.
It wasn't on my list.
No, I didn't know we were doing the draft, and I picked the one guy, and you were like, the pro football thing was coming soon, and you were like, you picked that guy? Well, this was not that guy.
This was not that guy. No. But he's 6'1", 205 pounds, not afraid to come in and tackle. He's kind of a scheme fit, in my opinion, with a zone corner. And I actually don't mind this guy. I gave both the 7th round picks an A. You know, considering they're 7th rounders, how much production are they actually going to give us? I don't know. Probably very little. But the potential is there, and I think they're completely worthy of a 7th round draft.
Wait, I'm seeing 5'11".
What I wrote down was 6'1", 205. Christian Holmes?
Yes. This is ESPN. They're saying he's more quick than he is fast after running the 40-yard and 4.52, but his potential slowed in his vertical jump 39 inches at 5'11". He has a good size for a corner. That's ESPN. I don't know if.
Yeah, according to the draftscout.com, he's 6'1". And then, of course, according to the Draft Live, he's 6 foot even. So who knows?
So we got it all covered.
Who knows? He's somewhere around 6 foot. I hope he's 6'1", because obviously I'd like a little bit taller. But anyway,
yeah, he's anywhere between 5'10" and 6'4".
Yes, he's in there. He's in there. But anyway, I thought it was a decent pick. So overall, let's go ahead and partake in this, what some people would call nonsense. Overall, what do you grade this class?
I give him a B.
Whatever your grade was. Whatever your grade was.
Hey, I didn't give him an A.
Whatever you
I'm looking
said,
at your microphone lighting up. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened? Okay.
What else I got?
All right, what's your grade?
I gave it a C-. I don't like this class at all. I liked day 3, and there's some potential in day 3, but the first 3 rounds were so just bad to me, and that's where a draft is really made. You need to get the right picks in the first 3 rounds, and I think they completely flopped it. And you remember, you were there on last week on Skins of the Game. What did I say I would trade back for? And where would I trade back?
I think he said 19.
Somewhere between the late teens. Yep.
Yeah. But I can't remember the player you said.
Well, not even necessarily a player, but what position?
I can't.
Tackle. Remember I said I would go offensive lineman?
Yep.
But
you're right.
Anyway, and Trevor Penning went right there at pick number 19. We could have scooped him up. He's a 6'7", 325-pound lineman. And then my favorite receiver in the draft went pick number 52. We could have got him at pick 47. And then one of my favorite linebackers in the draft well, Nakobe Dean was my favorite, but one of my second favorites was Leo Chenal that I was looking at getting in the second. He fell to our third round pick at 98. We could have had Penning, Pickens, Chenal. Like, that's an A++ draft to me, and that was available. And the fact that was available and they went with this nonsense that I don't like anyway. I mean, I wanted to give this draft an F, but I do think that they improved on day 3 a little bit, so I give it a C-. And of course, I also think that the guys that we drafted in the first 3 rounds, they're not duds. Like, I don't think they're horrible players, but just the potential that was there, it was available, and they let it slip. So,
all right. Well, the first thing you need to do is write down the names of who you think they should have picked, and then track their career
progress
and see whether or not are they Micah Parsons?
Micah Parsons, yeah. Well, Leo Chenal is literally like a Micah Parsons. His RAS score was 4 out of 2,226 possible linebackers. He was ranked the most out of the last 35 years. He was ranked number 4. And 2 of those were actually edge rushers, which tend to be a little bit more athletic. So you can even knock those off. But even if you kept those in there because they were listed as linebackers, he was still number 4 with a 9.99 relative athletic score. And the guys that I wanted also were taken by quality organizations. So I liked that. But no, I said I would take Penning,
look up. Yep, write them
Pickens. I would have taken in the 3rd round Chenal. In the 4th round, if they wanted a big running back, I liked Hassan Haskins out of Michigan, 6'1", 220 pounds, had better stats than Brian Robinson, and I think has a little bit more top end speed. So I think he gives you a little bit of a more dynamic. I don't think he had as many broken tackles, but he's still a big body guy, a lot of goal line touchdowns. So I liked him. 5th round, I would have taken Sam Howell. That was a tremendous pick. And then after this, I'll just go ahead and I'll be fine with the 3 that they took. I'm fine with Cole Turner. I'm fine with Chris Paul, and I'm fine with Christian Holmes.
Well, have you ever heard of Tony Mandarin?
Tony Mandarin.
I think it's Mandarin. He had a spread in Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
Probably before you were born.
Wait, actually, that's not true. I lied. Just real quick, and then I'll let you continue. And instead of Christian Holmes in the 7th, I would have took Bubba Bolden, safety, because in this particular draft, I did not draft Percy Butler. So I would have taken Bubba Bolden in the 7th round.
Bubba Bolden. I just like his name. I don't care.
Bubba Bolden, safety out of Miami, instead of an extra lineman because I already drafted a lineman round 1. But I was fine. Whatever. I don't really like Cole Turner, but I'll just keep it there. Why not? And then Christian Holmes at the last one, I'm fine with. I don't have a strong opinion with somebody else that deep. So
sorry, it was Manda Rich.
Manda Rich. Okay.
Yeah, he was a football tackle. He had a spread in Sports Illustrated. I'm trying to see what year it was. No. Yeah, he was born 1966, so this was probably in the 80s. But Tony Mandarich was the next big thing, and they had a picture across 2 pages of Sports Illustrated with his hand, how big his hand was. And he was the guy to draft, and he totally bombed in the NFL. But he got a spread in Sports Illustrated because it was like, I want to see what his what's he addicted to? No, I want to see what his so he was 6'5", 311 pounds. He was a tackle or guard, and he just did not. I mean, he came into the league and was like nothing.
Yeah.
So that's he played 6 games. See what see if I can get any reasonable stats. Yeah, so 89 through 98, he played, although he didn't play every year. Games started. He started a lot of games. Fumbles. He recovered 2 fumbles, and pretty much didn't do. He averaged 8 tackles in 1 year. Wait,
Yeah.
his first year he averaged 1 tackle a game.
Mm-hmm.
But my point being is, it's like you. I'm telling you, it was like, this guy is a monster. They said what he ate every day and how many calories and how he worked out, and he was going to be a beast in the NFL. And it was like, nope, he wasn't.
Two things. Dave Robb asks, what do you guys think of today's signing of Alex Erickson? He's a wide receiver from Cincinnati. He played in Carolina last year, didn't do much at all. 3 catches, 55 yards for the season. He's only ever scored 1 touchdown in his entire career. He's 6 foot, runs a 4.44. To me, this guy is basically a non-factor. We basically have the same football player in Dax Milne that we drafted in the 7th round. That's younger and cheaper. So I'm not impressed by this pickup, and I would be shocked if this guy ended up making the team. But did you even know we signed this guy?
Me? No, I did
Yeah,
not.
no worries. Yeah, we literally just did it today. But to me, this is like a completely. I don't even know why they wasted their time here, to be honest with you. Like, literally, to me, this is so irrelevant. His best year was in 2019 with 43 catches, 529 yards, and no touchdowns. So, like, where is this guy going to fit in? Where is he going to play? This guy, it's so irrelevant. He was an undrafted free agent in 2016. Why even give this guy a dime? Because this guy doesn't do anything for us. He literally brings nothing to the table that we don't already have, and
No, I
better.
think
So,
I think I think MP hit the nail on the head. And by the way, football fan agrees with me. So
Trap like your biggest bust ever. No, I have the. I know. I'll give you the biggest bust ever if you're ready for this. You ever heard of Kal Rossi?
no.
All right, I'll tell you this story in a second here. He was a former Panther. Well, to be fair to Ron, this is the first time he picked up a guy this offseason that was a former Panther, but not when he was coaching the Panthers. He was only there last year. Before that, he was with the Bengals, so he didn't coach Alex Erickson. So there is a little bit difference there. But Kal Rossi is the biggest draft bust in NFL history. No ifs, ands, or buts. You ready for this?
Even more than Ryan Leaf?
Even more than Ryan Leaf. This story
God,
is
I gotta hear this.
incredible. Okay. Now, the only caveat is this was back in the 40s. So it was a little bit different time, right? It is not nearly as much draft analyzing, but it's still, I would say, even with all the analyzing and people getting it wrong now, this is the biggest draft bust in history. All right, here it is. Kal Rossi, running back out of I think it was either UCLA or University of California. One of those two, because he was nicknamed Kal Rossi, the Cal, and I can't remember his actual first name, but was for California. So I think he played for the University of California. He was a running back. Well, the old owner, George Preston Marshall, decided they used to look at picks in magazines of different guys that you would draft and like newspapers and stuff of who's the best players available. Well, Kal Rossi was listed as one of the best players available, and he was interested in a running back. So he decided he was going to use his first round pick number 9 on Kal Rossi. So a top 10 pick number 9 on Kal Rossi. Well, it turns out that Kal Rossi was not a senior in college, and at the time, only seniors were allowed to be drafted. So they drafted a dude. And of course, this is not back today where you could just immediately pick somebody else up. And also that would never happen today with all the internet and all that kind of stuff. But so they lost the pick. They had to forfeit the pick. It is what it is. You get 9, right? So now the next year, He knows, all right, well, this guy is now a senior. I know he was a junior last year. I still want him. And now we have pick number 4 in the draft, a top 5 pick. Okay? We draft him. After he gets drafted, he says, you know what? I don't want to play football anymore. He stayed home and never played a single down in NFL history and became a teacher in his local place in California.
And
He was drafted
two picks.
He was drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft twice. And he never played one down in NFL history.
Yeah, you can't beat that. And that cost them both picks. They
Both
forfeited
picks.
both picks. Wow.
Both picks.
That's impressive.
So that, to me, is the biggest draft bust in NFL history. You find somebody else that was drafted twice in the top 10 picks and never played it down, you beat me. All right? You beat me. But anyway, that's what I had. All right. We also signed, somebody mentioned Erickson. We also signed Trey Turner yesterday, I believe it was, a 1-year, $3 million deal, 5-time Pro Bowler, former Carolina Panther, of course. Offensive guard, probably going to start for us. So I liked the pickup considering we didn't draft a true starter at guard in the draft. So I liked that. And
by the way, just to give credit to Dave Robb, he guessed it right before you said it. He knew. It's like,
oh yeah,
drafted twice in the first round, but never played.
I forgot he was a top 10 pick. Yeah, he was a top 10 pick both times. Once time of top 5 pick. Pick number 9 and pick number 4 in the NFL draft. Wow. Can't beat that. I don't think anybody will ever beat that. It's the biggest draft bust in NFL history. And honestly, it's impossible to beat. All right. Well,
the one thing I would say, the one caveat is they didn't have to pay him a dime.
Yeah, but you wasted 2 picks.
Well, I get that.
Yeah.
Tony Mandarich got paid.
Tony Mandarich got paid. He Mandarich, eh? He rich. That's funny. Some draft as Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, Mike Irvin, or same draft. Oh, and Aikman, they passed on all those guys up for Mandarich. Ooh, that hurts. That does add another level to it when you could have had an all-time great in 3 different positions, really. Well, 2 different positions, all-time great with Barry Sanders and Deion Sanders. Another really good one in Michael Irvin, and then Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman, though, is a bit overrated when you go look at his stats. But anyway, still, obviously he's a lot better than Mandarich. So I'll take that over him for sure. But anyway, all right. Well, any last things before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered it rather well. We managed to fill up a show. I know you got your thing at 8:30. And what is that again? Sorry, in case the people here don't know.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, definitely come back. Keep that notification bell turned on because we will be back here in just over 30 minutes. What time is it? 7:59. So yeah, literally 30 minutes basically on the dot. We will be back with Street Scores. Another YouTuber, of course, you guys know him most likely. Rico from Street Scores will be on the channel. Another big channel in the YouTube sphere for Washington. So that'll be fun. We'll discuss the draft, and he has a lot of thoughts on what is going on. He scouts a lot of these players as well. So we'll get his opinions, and me and him may go back and forth on a couple picks. We'll see. But I think for the most part, me and him actually kind of see eye to eye in a lot of ways. But I also have other people coming in the future as well. So tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we'll have the guys from Ref the District YouTube channel. They were there live on scene interviewing a bunch of guys that on day 1 of the draft. And then, or at least at Washington Stadium, not in Vegas, but at Washington Stadium. And then we have on Monday, we'll have Rio Robinson coming onto the channel. I've talked to him a few times as of late, but he'll be coming on Monday. And then Tuesday, I just got confirmation that we are good. Louis T is going to come on the channel. Louis T is the biggest Washington Commander YouTuber on YouTube, of course. So he's basically the voice of the fans in a lot of ways. Most people take what he says as gospel, and he does a great job. And he will be on the show on Tuesday, and we'll see if we line anybody else up. I've reached out a few more feelers, but that's what we got here in the next week. So make sure you hit the sub button, stay tuned, and it should be a lot of fun.
Yep. And
All
thanks to everybody that hung out with us tonight. As always, you make me laugh more than Tim does. So thank you.
Awesome. Yes, thank you guys for joining. And until next time. See ya!